inner worth and inner safety and reconnecting in your relationship. If you want to find me, you can find me the simplest way, annathellmann.com. And from there, everything leads to where else you can find me, where we can connect. And of course, here as a reoccurring guest.
And I didn't even have to pay her for that. She does it because of the kindness of her heart, which I always appreciate. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's catch up. So, what has been going on in your life? And bring us up to speed, please.
Do you mean relationship wise, business wise, generally? What 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 do you want to hear?
Oh, I get to choose today. Okay, let's
Yes.
start with business
Mm.
and then we can make it personal. But let's start with business. What's going on in the business world of your business, relationships, and everything in between?
So, I mean, I'm sure you have a couple of entrepreneurs in your midst and who listen. So I want to share a personal story because I was looking beginning of December last year, I was looking for a social media manager. So I got onto this website, it's called Upwork, and posted the job description, found a social media manager, hired them, and after 2 days, I unhired them because they it didn't work. And I thought, okay, let's evaluate what could I do better. So looking for another one. So I improved the onboarding process. I gave more detail, tried to be as specific and simple as I thought I could, and hired the second one. And after 1 week, I unhired this person. And now what happens? Because as an entrepreneur, you know this, you make all your decisions by yourself. Yes, you get input from maybe friends, partners, mentors, etc., but the decision is yours. And when you failed twice, the self-doubts creep in. And I think like, okay, so how do I make sure that the next person is a good fit? How do I make sure that I've given them all the information possible to make this work for me in the end, for my business? And so I did it again, went out and I found a couple of people, and then I changed my strategy. I took longer with the interviews, and I had my favorite, and that ended up not to be my favorite. Because it was like, okay, it feels good. It was like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. She will understand me. She's an entrepreneur. She will know exactly what I need. And I was willing to ignore all the red flags. And then I said, okay, I sleep a night on it, and then the decision will come. The decision will be clear to me the next morning when I wake up. And I wasn't even fully awake. This thought came in like, remember the red flags, remember the red flags. And I was like, oh yeah, the red flags. So let's go with my second choice. And I did that, thought, well, if shit hits the fan, then we do this again. But to get to that point, to trust yourself, to be able to handle it, to be able to handle the failure, or well, you could see it as a chance to start all over, to make it better, to improve. But to get back onto the horse, to say, yes, I trust myself with my decisions. That's a step that I find or see other colleagues, they struggle with it because they're so afraid to, yeah, make a bad decision again. But I choose that every decision is the best I can make. And if it doesn't work out, then there is a lesson to learn. So I hired this guy, and so far I'm good for 2 weeks now. So we'll see where it goes. But so far I'm okay. I'm good with him. I'm happy that he does what he does, and he does it beautifully.
I love that story because a little bit of selfless plug for all the men out there. I love when a man can make a woman smile. So that was a beautiful, beautiful story. That's what I took from it. But all seriousness, you're right. Like sometimes we ignore. certain things. Like you mentioned the red flags, and that's not only in professional relationships, it could be in family relationships, it could be romantic relationships. So even though you're a coach and I'm a coach and we've been doing this for so long,
Mm.
people think, well, we must have like the perfect life. Like, no, we struggle too. We ignore things as well. How did you remind yourself, like, let me rephrase that. What did you do to identify the red flags in this person, and how did you make sure that you were reminded of it, not to forget it?
The thing is, I saw the red flags while I was talking to her. They were just like left, right, and center, like, oh, this is annoying. Oh my God. Oh. They were there. And I first instinct was like, but she's an entrepreneur. She will understand. She's better. And so out of trying to find excuses, the reasons why I should ignore all of these red flags. And what I did then is I said, okay, let's step back. Let's give it a good night's sleep. And also the permission to let it go. Don't try to find an answer. Don't try to make a decision right away, but just give my nervous system the time and space to just settle down and let my subconscious come and go through all of that. And like I said, I go to bed and by morning, I will know what decision to make. The best one for me right now. And it happens. Yeah. We just need to trust our body, our subconscious, ourselves that we know the answer and that our brain doesn't interfere. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? Because when we see the red flags, when we ignore them, it's just our brain telling us, but, creating that fantasy of what could have been, what could happen. Oh my God. But when
Do,
we just, yeah. Now, I just want to say, when we give our time that space to say, ourselves the space to say, okay, I hear you, but let's calm down. Let's hear all the voices, all the parts that make this decision and not just the one.
do you think people do that exact same thing in their romantic relationships where they find reasons not to see the red flags or they try to justify it? Well, he's buying me this, she's doing that. Do you see that as well?
Of course, yeah. I've been there. You've probably been there. We've all done it at one point in our life, in one kind of relationship where we just try to justify why we should stay, why we should be with that person, why we should do things for that person, etc. Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, I came out of the womb married. So I don't know what my good friend Anna is talking about, but she's absolutely right how we ignore. I remember the things that I would ignore. I shared with someone just the other day that I had this crush on this girl in high school. She was 2 years older than me. And this is back in the 90s. So, $2 went so far back then, Anna, even though we're aging ourselves, right? She was able to get $2, $3 out of me almost every day for a whole year.
Mm.
And I got zero dates from this. Right? She even had a boyfriend. I was just like, Trey, what the hell are you doing? But I had stardust in my eyes. She was so beautiful. And I share her name all the time because, well, it's a fake name. It's not her real name, just in case she watches this. But it just shows you how you justify the behavior because even though I was young and I was 15 at the time, it was just, well, she's giving me attention. She's giving me
Mm.
validation. She is hanging around. She actually knows my name, Anna. She's 2 years older. She knows my name. So, you come up with all kinds of reasons. And sometimes I wonder to myself as I look back and share this story, since you have me being so open with you right now, late at night in Toronto, Canada, is at that time, I just wanted to experience love.
Mm.
But the only love that I knew was conditional. That was from my childhood. And then looking back, here I am. It definitely wasn't love, but to me, probably was.
Mm.
right? Beautiful girl giving me attention. She knows my name. She's older than me. That's like the dream, right? We all seen American Pie. We all want an older woman when we're that young. But one thing that I'll ask you is, what are some of the ways that maybe we can change that behavior to help us not continue it as we get older in life and we have maybe more to lose and less time to make these mistakes?
Well, the first thing is to accept it. Well, not I'm correcting myself. The first thing is to become aware of it. That you literally on purpose take the responsibility for your behavior, that you choose to ignore the red flags. Because as soon as you talk about, oh, there were the red flags, you've noticed them. And not just now, you've seen them before, but you choose to ignore them. So take that responsibility without blame, without shame, without judgment, because there's no need for that. We just say, yeah, I choose. Like I choose to stay with that alcoholic boyfriend. Yeah, big red flag, but I choose to stay. For whatever reason, it doesn't even matter. So we become aware, we take responsibility, and then we let it go because there's no need to have that inner fight of being afraid. I will do it again. Because what that means, it's like this self-betrayal. I betrayed myself and now I don't trust myself that I make better decision in the future. And what I tell my clients is like, that was past you. Current you is just realizing, trying to be okay with it, accepting it in the sense of it is what happens right now. Today, I'm okay with it. No judgment, just neutral. Future you will be a whole different person than past you because future you knows more, has experienced more, has more self-trust that whatever decision I make, there is a reason. I'm a firm believer of whatever decision I make, whatever happens, there is a lesson for me. It's for the best of me, however bad it is. Because you when you're in it, you think, oh my God, the world is ending. Oh my God, this is horrible. But with a little bit of distance, like with my alcoholic boyfriend, it's been now 10 years almost. Wow, have I learned stuff about myself, how I was willing to stay in that relationship for 5 years, being depending on he's giving me attention. Oh, now he's not giving me attention. Oh, please give me attention. And yeah, I could say I was ashamed. I am ashamed. I could choose that path to think about me. And with that, create that inner fight, that inner war. But I could also choose to say, I've learned something. I've done that for whatever reason. And in the future, I probably won't do that again because I betrayed myself. I forgave myself. I learned to trust myself again. And I think these are you recognize, you take that responsibility, you reconnect with yourself, and then you rebuild, not to an older version, not to a superhuman version, but you just rebuild that trust and safety for yourself.
Do you think that is harder to do as we get older in life?
No, I think it's the willingness. And I have clients, or I had clients, I mean, in the last 10 years, I've coached clients who were 17 to 60, huh? The whole spectrum. And the same happens every time. If you are willing to see yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then it's easier to move forward, to let go of that baggage, to let go of the judgment. But if you're not, no matter what age you are, it's hard. It becomes hard because you tell yourself it's so hard.
You're right, because we just shared examples when we were younger doing it, and now that we're older, we're wiser, we know what we want and know how to get it. And I share that because when you get into, at least from my perspective and the people that I've assisted, once you get into a relationship that is healthy based on what the two people define healthy as and happiness as, their perspective changes. They know that they can look at situations, see the red flags, and say, that is not for me today.
Mm.
Definitely won't be for me tomorrow, and it won't be for me next year. But I think these are things that healthy and happy couples do. Whereas, let's say, for example, people may get caught up in bad situations. You
Yeah.
have the validation for them to stay in it. You have maybe the guilt of them leaving. You maybe have a little bit of shame. You have a lower self worth. These are some things that I've identified that people stay with because some people, and one client of mine shared this, she thought that love was for people in their 20s. And I think you and I talked about that previously, right? Now she's in her 60s and she's in so much in love, she doesn't even see anybody else, right? Because she found what fills her up.
Mm.
What role do you think that healthy couples or happy couples can play to assist those who may be looking for relationships themselves?
Don't try to force your advice on them. Because we humans, we love to do that. We just love to, when we have found what works for us and fills our cup and makes us happy, we want to share that and we want everyone to feel that way. And then we force it. That's this unasked advice that we give. No one has asked you for advice, but we want to share. We definitely want to share desperately. And I hear that from my clients when their friends have they found something in their relationship that works, and now they say, "You need to do that. You need to do that. You need to try that. It's so amazing." And my client says, "I'm good on the path that I chose, but you need to try it. It's so good. If you only change this one thing, you will be so happy." And we have to remember that everyone is different. Different things work for different people. What works for you might not work for me and my lifestyle and my hopes, my dreams, my fears. So when someone asks for your advice, what do you do? Give them your perspective. Don't be the teacher, the mentor. Just say, this is what works for me. Find yours in there if you want. Because even when I coach my clients, I don't say what I'm saying, that's the right thing to do. I don't say that. I say that at the beginning when I start working with them, said, we talk about it. I say stuff and you do with it whatever you want. You can go out and say, bullshit. This woman, it's just like a nice waste of my time. But it's up to you. And don't try to force it on the other person.
This is what works for me versus do this, like making breakfast in stiletto heels and just the apron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good example. Love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, some
It,
people might be like, Train, that works wonders for me. I'm like, yeah, that's for you. Like, poor woman out here who's struggling to wear heels. She may tip over and someone's going to yell timber as she's falling, right?
yeah.
Why do you think, I know you mentioned it's human nature, but would it then be better for us to not give advice through our words when it's unsolicited, but let our actions and our behaviors speak more than our actual words?
The thing is, people don't see what happens inside your house. That's your partner and you. So even when I meet you for coffee, I don't have that visual. I can't learn from your behavior, only what I see. So of course you could go for dinner as a two couple date or whatever, and then I could pick up on what you do and could say, "Oh, that's nice." But usually so much happens behind closed doors when you talk with each other, when you listen to each other, when you just be with each other. And I don't see that. So what you share with me goes then through my brain, my interpretation, my fears, my experiences, or what did I see on TikTok, or what did this influencer say? Yeah, it gets filtered through all of these channels. And then I have an idea, like, oh, this is what I could do. And that's fine because we try and we fail, we learn, we try again. It's my this lady, Stacey Bayman, I don't know if you know her, but she says the more you fail, the more you succeed. You need to fail. That means you need to try what works for you as much as possible, because then only then you find what works for you.
I
I
wonder how
think,
scary that can be to fail in a relationship to gain knowledge of what you want or don't want, which is a success. Can that be scary for some people to do, to fail in the relationship in an effort to realize what they want down the road?
yes, I think it comes back to these red flags that um, when I talk to couples or when I talk to individuals about their relationship, they want that relationship to succeed. And they don't even know what that means. They can't explain to me when I say, paint me a picture, what does success look like so that we know we are there now, we achieved the goal. They can't. They've never thought about it. They just have this word in their mind, like successful, happy. I said, well, how does your happy relationship look like? I don't know. We fight less. I don't know. Can we go a bit deeper? Can we get more details out of it? And they are afraid to fail about this idea they haven't created a picture for. It's like being afraid of the uncertainty. I don't know I don't know how it will look like, but I'm afraid that I won't get there. Do you have that in with your clients, that they just afraid to fail? If I try this and it doesn't work out, oh my God, that means that I'm not good enough, that haven't done it properly, or that we don't match, that we're not soulmates. But
I
they
have
also,
seen that, to your
yeah,
point.
yeah. And then they don't know, but how would it look like? Because sometimes it looks like a failure, but it's actually a success. Sometimes you need to lose people because it's good for you. So I
When you
think
mentioned that, sorry
yeah,
to interrupt you, but when you mentioned that, what I was thinking of is you ask someone what is love, what is happiness, and they'll answer with the same word. Like, okay, what does love look like to you? And they'll say that, well, it looks like when I feel loved. Okay, but what does that mean? Like, if I, how do you know me, Terrain, is showing you that I love you? Then they begin to think that, like, okay, Terrain does this. He makes me feel this way. And then this happiness, same thing. I think to your point, I think a lot of people struggle explaining what they actually want in a relationship. And if they can't communicate it to themselves, I'm pretty sure they can't communicate it to their partner, right? Is that the maybe one of the roots of the disconnect in relationships where communication is just not healthy or in a lot of cases just not there?
I believe no. I don't think communication is the problem. What I see is that you said before, you only learned love conditional. Yeah. Conditioned love. When you do X, you get Y. And now we go into a relationship and we are conditioned that love looks a certain way, maybe from our parents, from our siblings, friends, etc. And but we're looking for this unconditional love. I believe we all look for someone who takes us as we are, to give us this unconditional love, like, this is you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I love you for exactly that. I'm annoyed with some parts, but I love you for who you are. I believe I've seen that. This is what we as humans want, to have that. But we never knew it. We knew love was conditioned. We need to be quiet. We need to fit in. We need to achieve, to all these different things. And then we meet a person and They give us when we achieve, or they give us that attention. It's like your story from the beginning. You get the attention, you get what you're used to, and you call it love because that's what people told you it is. This person tells you, I love you. And you say, oh, this is love. And if someone gives you a different kind of love, what do you do with it? It's probably like, no, this is not love. This can't be love because they don't give me the same attention, affection for when I do this. So communication, I think, is a path to, is an actionable thing, something you can do. But I believe it starts earlier. It starts with that knowing, like you said, this becoming aware of what do I want? What am I getting? What am I conditioned to? The awareness, the recognizing this is the pattern that I'm having. And everyone who gives me attention, yeah, I like you, I love you. In England, yeah, when I lived in England, people were saying, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you all the time. They loved everyone and everywhere. And it was like, but what does it mean? What? And they just say it because I was nice to them. I gave them attention. They told me they love me. I was a really loved person.
I wonder then, attention validation can be confused for love then.
Yeah. But
And then that
on
would
the other,
mean,
but I
go ahead.
think everyone has a different definition of love. So we mustn't forget that your definition of when do you feel loved? How does love look for you? What do you do when you love someone is probably different to my definition. So for some people, that's what they know, and that's love to them. That's what they are currently capable of. That kind of love, that amount of love, that conditioned love. And when you're someone who says, I'm totally fine with that, yeah, that's more than enough for me. Well, happy days, you found each other. But when you're
So
someone and says, so yeah,
I was,
sorry.
yeah, I was going to say that. So that could mean that if I have my definition of love and I'm pursuing it, that means that my definition of love and the way that I pursue it can be causing me damage.
What kind of damage?
So, for example, if I think that me being emotionally abused because a person gives me attention is love, I may go out there and search for that type of love, which is associated with this type of trauma. And every time I find it in Kathy, in Anna, in Shauna, in whoever, I think it's love, but actually I'm being hurt each and every time by these different people. Could
Yeah.
that be an unhealthy view of love then in that example?
If you're aware of it, yes. From the outside, yes, it is. But it actually just means that you are not aware and you feel comfortable in that space. You feel comfortable. It's this emotional safety bubble around you. You know, the devil, you know, yeah, you know that abuse to me is love. You feel comfortable there, even though it's painful during, after, but that's your emotional safety space. So you go and try to get that safety wherever you can get it.
Anna, that's scary for me to think of that.
Why?
Because when you look at, let's say, couples who are together for a long time, to your point, we don't know what happens in their bedroom, nor do I want to know what happens in their bedroom. Let's say their household. We don't know what happens in their household, right? But I would probably say that they're able in general to find out what that other person's definition of love is, right? Or you can say that maybe it's their love language. But I know how Anna wants to be loved, and Anna knows how Terrain wants to be loved. So we're able to love each other in the way that we want to be loved and continue our relationship forward. But
Mm.
if we're toxic to each other, abusive in some way, unhealthy for each other, and we think that's love, unfortunately, I see those people may be struggling because, to your point, they're not aware of it and they may be suffering from, let's say, anxiety or depression or something, but now they have to make a choice. The devil that you know. Is the pain that I'm experiencing greater or less than the pain of not having what I think is love?
Mm.
What are your
Mm.
thoughts?
So my thought is that I hear many couples, particularly in long-term relationships. I bring my father up in this situation because about 15 years ago, was on holiday with them, with my parents, and I had this night with my dad. We were drinking wine and we were talking. I said, Dad, you're not happy in that relationship. Why are you staying? And he said, Well, I'm too old now and I can't be asked to look for something different. And I hear this so often when I talk with clients or friends about their parents, that there is something along these lines that, well, I was afraid that I couldn't make it on my own. I was staying because of the financial safety net. That there were all these reasons why people decide I stay in this relationship, even though I don't get the love that I want and need, but I get something different. And that differentness is more important than the love, like the financial safetyness, or like I'm not alone.
Like the person who being abused who doesn't leave because their lifestyle will change.
Yeah, I mean, I when I was 18, I had a boyfriend and he was hitting me, and I stayed because I was afraid. I was afraid he would kill me, so I choose to stay to get beaten up every now and again because I didn't want to die. Yeah, it's that simple. There is a choice that you make, even though you don't make it like, oh yeah, I choose getting beat up against dying. You don't make that choice like that, but you make the choice. You stay because you're afraid something will happen. That fear makes you gives you the implementation for your decision to say, that's why I'm staying. Because I'm afraid I can't make it financially. I'm afraid I will be all alone for the rest of my life. It's against the fear, or it's for the fear that you make that decision to stay in a relationship that is toxic, that isn't happy, that isn't fulfilling.
And when someone comes out of a situation like that and now they see someone who won't treat them that way, would there be difficulty that for them accepting a different type of love that they're not used to?
I think it depends on what level of consciousness they are. So, what have they learned? What have they taken from their experience, from their suffering, from their healing, from how have they developed after that? What is their level of self-worth, of self-trust? And depending on where they are, they act accordingly to people who treat them the same or who treat them differently.
How would someone then become self-aware enough to see that and move forward?
That's a great question. And I see that for me, my easy answer is, well, when they come to me or to you, they are self-aware. Yeah, literally doing that step, like something is not working. But I also know how it worked for me when I was in the relationship with the alcoholic, that I had this feeling like something's off. I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't name it. If someone asked me, how's your relationship? I'm fine. I'm fine. Hmm? So there wasn't any indicator for anyone to see, notice that I wasn't happy. But something inside me was like, mm. And then I was starting to look for relationship advice. What can I do? And I think that's a good indicator to when you are looking for answers, when you are looking to understand what does this confusion inside me mean? What does what do these thoughts mean? What does it mean if he treats me like that, if she does this to me? When you start looking for answers, I think that's a good indication to say, ooh, we're starting that path now. We're on the way to recognize and become aware.
I would love if every single person that I worked with was that self-aware. That would be like the genie, that would be like one of my wishes, right? Just everyone says, Terrain, I'm ready to find love again. Perfect. What's preventing you from finding love? Well, here's my list. This. Ah, this is easy peasy lemon squeezy at this point, right? It's just self-aware, but that's a
No.
perfect world that be self-aware, and some of them struggle. I know one lady, she was in between relationships and she really wanted one, but one thing she was doing was she was distracting herself with work.
Mm,
And she did this looking back now when I was speaking to her, she did it because she knew there's a lot of things that she had to work on, but it's like renovating that or sorry, it's like cleaning out that closet. If you don't go into the bedroom with that closet, you don't ever get reminded that you have to clean out that closet. So her closet had many skeletons, lots of
mm,
dirty underwear, unwashed socks, but she didn't see it, she didn't smell it, and therefore she didn't have to do anything about it until she got sick.
mm.
And when she got sick, she realized the stress of being avoidant was showing up in her body. Do you, when you work with your clients, do you see people's body responding to everything that they've ignored or that they don't yet or become aware of?
Of course, yes, yes. And another great example is when they try to explain everything logically. So whatever comes up emotionally in their body, it's like, oh, I have a great explanation for that. They, I like to tell them that you are so intelligent, too intelligent for your own good. Because you find reasons, you analyze, everything can be explained logically. And they completely ignore, shut out the body, that what's going on in here. What does your body tell you? And just today, I had a client this morning and we did this. Don't know if you know it, when you stand there, one hand on your shoulder and you ask yes and no question, your body's moving forward or backwards. Yeah, it's pulling you when you say yes, it's forward. And we asked question and her body was just moving. Every question said, where is there fear? Yes. And said, no, but no, there is no fear. In her mind, it was like, what's going on? There is no, I'm not afraid. Am I good enough a mother? No. Yeah, her body was giving, her subconsciousness was giving her an answer, and she tried desperately to justify it in her mind. So with her consciousness, like, no, there is an explanation. And this is sorcery. What's going on here? But she tried really hard to find and analyze what just happened, what her subconsciousness was telling her, how her body reacted to her answers, her questions. Ignoring that, ignoring, I like to call it the Holy Trinity, your body, mind, and soul. Yeah, ignoring that connection and her body reacting, giving the obvious sign by saying, no, 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 it's just my brain. That's the one thing I can trust. What comes out of here, the thoughts that come out, that's the only thing I can trust. Do you know what I
Why
mean?
do you, I do. Like in that example about the woman who got sick, that's exactly what she did, right? Like her body's falling apart. It's because of all this chaos in her life. But she's like, well, I got to keep working. I need money. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to not lose my house. Sorry, I don't want to lose my car. I don't want to get kicked out. And we're all thinking, well, I'm thinking at the time, I'm like, you make X amount of money, you make enough money without working all these extra hours to pay for that lifestyle. What is it really?
Mm.
And it wasn't until life said, because your body will whisper, then life will shout when you need to make the change, because you can either spend your time preventing it or you can spend your time living with it. And
Mm.
once life took away her health, now all she can do was sit in her unhealed, often ignored trauma because she's confined to the home and her soothing mechanism has been taken away from her. How devastating could that be to someone in general when the one thing that is distracting them, whether it's social media, whether it's work, whether it's some type of addiction, when that gets removed and now they have to come face to face with their issues?
Mm.
How scary can that day be?
Very, very, very scary because it's this unknown uncertainty. What am I doing now? It's like you don't know what to do with yourself. And I mean, I've been there myself. It's like the world is ending. The world that I knew, it's gone. But what now? What now? Who am I without that? And I similar clients like yours, it's like, okay, I had this guy and he was at the hospital. And I said, who am I now that I'm not working anymore? Who am I now that I have to look at myself and deal with myself? I don't know this person. I've seen him in the mirror, yeah. I stayed with him all my life, but I don't know who I am without being the manager, being that title. It's a whole identity loss. And that's scary because everything you thought you would be isn't there anymore. When I came to China, I had my fifth miscarriage and COVID hit. For the first time for 25 years, I was financially depending again on a person that was my partner. I didn't do that since I left my parents' house, but with 40, I was in that state and I lost my identity because I knew myself as that independent woman. She makes money, she can make money, she can look after herself financially. And that's taken away. It's like, who am I? And that's scary. It took me some time to even just admit to myself that I'm lost, that I don't know who I am without that label that I've given myself. To see that there is more to me than just that financially independent woman, or to my client, there is more to him than the manager. And every part of you has the right to be you, to be part of the whole.
How do you help people find their new identity or to rediscover an old one?
I have this 3-step process, and that's the easiest part, I think, to just become aware, to reconnect with yourself, and then to rebuild. And but for me, this wording like the new identity or the old one, I don't like to put that label on anyone, not even on myself, because I believe that this is part of my path. So I'm still that independent, financially independent woman, even though at the time I couldn't prove it. I couldn't prove to you, say, here, Tara, look, here's my paycheck. I can live by myself. But that's still part of me. And there's still the same one who is this little child who is afraid. And there's still this Anna that ignores the red flags. And I don't want to create something new or discover something old. I like to guide my clients to the point where they can accept all of it, that everything is part. Some parts are louder, some parts are quieter, but they've all been there and they will all be there. So the direction I'm going towards is self-acceptance, towards accept the good, the bad, and the ugly without judgment, without shame, without blame. And each part of you has its time. Yeah, the red flag ignorer has its time. Then in the future, every now and again, that part comes out. But they've all been there before. So that's what I like to believe too. That it's all been there, just maybe not as developed as in the past.
If it's all a part of us, Anna, then how do we manage those different parts so they don't show up negatively in our relationships?
You stop the war in yourself, because as soon as you're fighting against being the ignorant bitch, no, I don't like that part of me. No, I don't. I must try not to be that. That's the inner war. And with that, the possibility is much, much higher that that inner bitch comes, because I put myself under pressure. My body is reacting with pressure, the tension, probably similar to what your client did and my client. Yeah, the body is, oh, we're fighting, constant fight mode. And that brings out the bitch, huh? But when we say, ooh, every now and again, the bitch comes out. Do we like it? Do we judge it? No, because at that moment of time, it was the best we could do with the resources we had in that moment. Because sometimes you don't have the mental capacity to be the lovely, friendly girl, neighbor next door. And sometimes you do. And then that part comes out. But often we don't give ourselves the grace, the compassion, just the non-judgment to say, sometimes I don't. And that's okay. It doesn't justify and make the behavior good, or we just ignore and say, well, whatever. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about, like, I'm aware of it. I just decide not to judge it.
So the people that are like that, then, the nagging wife, the husband that plays video games in his underwear all day long, they're partners now. How would you advise them to understand that this is a part of who they are and maybe make them aware that it is going to come up every now and again? How would we help them to understand their partner in that way?
Well, the thing is, behavior has a reason. So we're humans, we're acting on our feelings. Our feelings get created by our thoughts. Our thoughts get created by a trigger and by our body feeling. So there is how something happens when they sit in front of the telly and play video games all day long. There's something going on. So you could say something is happening in that person. They're looking for something. They might not even know what it is, but something is going on. And what this behavior is the best they can do with the mental, physical, emotional resources they have at the time. Now, what I would recommend is to take a look at yourself. Like, is this a red flag? Is this something you want to live by? Because when you see the potential, how someone could be, but they haven't showed you that, and they're not willing to show it, then take the responsibility and ask yourself, what do I want to do with it? Am I willing to stay and wait? But then I do it, then I decide, and I do that without expectations. Or am I willing not to fight and leave? So I would recommend to make that conscious decision. Like, this is your partner. They are like that right now. But it's up to you what you make of it, how you behave, how you continue with that person, how you want to be in their present.
Oof, you're asking them to do a lot, Anna. I can hear the people now being like, "Oh my gosh, she's asking me to love this person
No,
even though
that's
they're pissing me off, right?"
the thing is, my partner, he sometimes has this idea, or at the beginning, he had this idea when we fight, I don't love him. Or he told me, I love you less now. And I said, that's bullshit. You love me the same. You just piss off with me. You just don't want to see me right now. If there would be a rocket that would send me to the moon, you have me in it. Yeah. But that's the difference. The love doesn't just go away because you have a fight or because they behave in a way that you don't like. That's a different reaction. But you can still love someone and leave them. You can love someone and argue with them. You can love someone and hit them. Yeah, that the one doesn't exclude or include the other. But again, it's that definition of love that we choose. What does love mean?
Yeah, like you can love someone, but you just don't like them right now.
Exactly.
And I think that's
Mhm.
where people get it a little bit confused. They think that it's this constant. I love you every second of every day until I die. Yeah, you're gonna love the person, but today you're not gonna like you may not like them because they did something that triggered you.
Mm.
They did something that upset you. There was an argument about something that's been lingering for days. But ladies and gentlemen, what you have to understand is many times when you have that argument, it's not what caused the argument that day. It's something that happened previously that went unchecked and it build and build and build. I'm reading this book called Marriage and Respect. And it's a beautiful book because it's an older married couple who wrote it. And one thing they mentioned is that love your wife always. Respect your husband always. And I think sometimes what people forget, because I what I took from that is you may be going through difficulties, but don't forget to see the love that you had for the person. Don't
Mm.
forget to see the respect that you have for the person. And I think that's what maybe in my experiences happy couples do is that they argue like everyone else. They get into fights like everyone else, right? But they don't forget the goal of the relationship. Whereas
Mm.
I'm going to live my life with you because you complete me, you fulfill me. Do you see some people when they get into these arguments, they forget the goal of the relationship and they're so stuck in the moment that maybe it can cause damage to their relationship?
Yeah. I think first of all, because they don't even have a goal and they haven't talked about respect, what it means and looks like in their relationship. And they get triggered, they take it personally. They now want to be stronger. They don't want to be seen as the weak one. So they argue. And we forget that conflict is just a difference in opinions or feelings. And that's natural. That's natural behavior that we have different feelings and thoughts. Yeah. So, but still, when someone, we have this need, we want to be understood. We have this need that we want our partner to agree with us. And when that doesn't get met, it triggers. And then these heated, escalated arguments become, like you said, a big explosion because it's been taken every day a little bit, a little bit. Yeah, every little helps, like the Tesco ad. Yeah, every little helps. Every thing that you didn't say, everything that you just swallow and say, oh, that's annoying. Oh, why did they do that? Everything just adds up and comes then out. And you want to be, at least I know, speaking from personal experience, I wanted to be not the weak one. I wanted to be, I'm strong mentally, emotionally, intelligently. Yeah, I have it figured out. And nothing you can say will change my mind. I have something to say about anything you say, and I didn't even listen. Yeah, you just, you know that when your partner is saying something and in your head you're already creating a response to what they said at the beginning 5 minutes ago, and you're just waiting, and then do you bring back stuff from 10 years ago? In that holiday, you said this. Yeah, but it's taken it personally. I sometimes call it, for me personally, I'm in that victim mode then. Yeah, that's victim Anna. Like, why do you do this to me? No, part of me. Acceptance. Like, yeah, here's the victim Anna. Or here's the fighter, not the nice fighter, but the fighter who doesn't just want to stop because she wants to be right.
That's tough when you get stuck in that, either in the victim where it's about you and only you, or you get into that fighter where you're on the attack. You will not treat me this way, right? And I see so many people who are stuck in surviving mode instead of thriving mode. And you can see the two difference between the two, right? In survival mode, it's all about me, me, me. But when you're thriving, it's all about us, us, us. And it's interesting to see. I remember there was someone, they were talking about their relationship, and every time they talk about the relationship, Anna, they never use the word we or us. It's always like, yeah, I'm enjoying myself and I think things are going well, and this relationship, yeah, it's what I like and things like that. And then someone asks them, what about your partner? Like, what are their thoughts? Like, I don't know. It's like, well, you're in a relationship with this person. Right? Like, what do you mean you don't know? Do you see a disconnect between people understanding what their partner wants and if they're actually enjoying the relationship maybe as much as the other person thinks they are?
Yes and no. So yes, because sometimes I question my clients, like when you talk to your partner, particularly women say, I talk to them. I try to talk to him. He doesn't listen. Then my question is, how? How did you talk to them? Yeah, that's a big one. And when it comes to men, they are, or she tells me all the time. So both of them, I lost my thread. I didn't know where I wanted, I don't know where I wanted to go with this.
Well, you're saying that yes and no, that you see people not understanding how their partner's feeling in the relationships. And you're saying that women do see it, but then they sometimes miss it, and men as well.
Yeah, yeah. So both of them believe what I see from my clients so far, that they have an idea, they know what the other person thinks. They know what the other person wants. So that's a strong thing that I see, that belief to know. And when I ask, did you ask them? No, but he knows he likes this, therefore he likes that. I said, have you ever asked your partner what they are missing in the relationship? No, they would tell me if they miss something. And that's avoidance, isn't it? You don't want to go and ask because what might come back? What am I not giving here? Does it mean I'm not good enough? Does it mean that I'm a bad person, a bad partner? So it's this fear to, I don't know what I'm getting here, the uncertainty. And it's comfortable in my bubble to believe that she likes that. Otherwise, she would say, I said, are you saying when you don't like something? No, because I don't want to hurt him. Hmm?
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask because if I ask, then the thoughts in my head become reality. And if it's a reality, I have to acknowledge it and then I have to confront it. So if he or she doesn't tell me that I'm doing a bad job, hey, it's A plus in my relationship. I am God's gift to women.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, I do that with my partner every couple of months, or probably every 2 or 3 months, um, during dinner or dinner date. And so let's have a range. Let's check into our relationship. How do you feel in the relationship? Well, how do you feel about me and you? is there something I could do better? Is there something you're missing? And there, literally every time there's something that he tells me that he's missing. And then I say, okay, I take it. I take it on, say, how does that look like? How should I behave, talk, or what do you want it to look like for my side so that you get your needs met? And then he will explain it to me. And then it's still up to me to decide, am I willing to give that, what he asks of me? Maybe I'm not. Sometimes I'm not, because I think, what if I give it to you like this? Yeah, a bit more like, this works better for me. This comes more natural. This is what I'm willing to give you 100%. And then I tell him, would that fit the bill? Would that fill your cup? Would that fulfill your need? Often he says yes. So I never thought about it that way, but yes, definitely, that would work. But it's to be okay with yourself, that it doesn't mean that you're a bad partner, that you're in a bad relationship when your partner says, I need something. You're not giving me something that I crave. And in the end, you should be happy that your partner has that trust towards you to be this open and know, when I tell you this, I trust you that you try what you can, what's in your capacity to give me that. And I think that's beautiful. That's it from the outside, from the first glance, it looks like, oh, that's criticism. You're not doing good. You're missing stuff. You're not observant enough. You're not patient enough, whatever. But when you take a deeper look, you see how much trust it actually creates between you and your partner to be this open and to ask that question and answer it.
I think one of the most beautiful things about relationship is conflict resolution
Mm,
and the ability to be vulnerable with each other.
yeah.
Let me ask you, Anna, one final question before I let you go. Since we were talking about vulnerability, I want to give you 3 wishes. What are 3 things you wish people knew about vulnerability in a relationship when opening up our emotions, and why?
Ooh. Thank you for the time to prepare. So, um, let me see. So I would say, first, vulnerability in a relationship. So being vulnerable could look like that you tell your partner, like I said just before this example, that there's something I need from you and I don't get it. So that's how it looks like. And then what it helps is, first of all, I show you, I trust you. This is what I need. I trust you that you don't shout at me, that you don't take the piss, that you don't laugh at me, but that you will at least take the time to listen and consider. And that builds trust. When we can do that in our relationship, being vulnerable and saying, this is what I need, or this is what I don't need. I need distance now. I can't handle you shouting at me right now. I can't talk to you about this topic right now. That's vulnerability in the simplest way. And when you can do that, it shows that you trust your partner and that they trust you